everyone. So welcome to this webinar on Is Mentoring for Me? I would say that today I'm very glad to be joined by two very well-established mobility leaders, Nidia as well as June, for today's session. In fact, I thought maybe before we get to the webinar itself, I just want to kind of share this story because I met with Nidia and June for tea at the very famous Jewel Airport here in Singapore. And honestly, it was so enlightening for me to learn a lot more about their journey. And today we are going to hear all from them in terms of all their valuable benefits of mentoring from a mentee perspective, and also at the same time discovering how mentorship can actually support us to transform our career and our personal growth. And honestly, last but not least, that's why I'm here today to actually share with you all in terms of how do you all sign up for the ATMA Mentoring Asia program. So hi everyone, I'm Shumin here. So I am actually part of the ATMA launch community, basically the ATMA launch committee. So that is kind of like my evening job, but as my day job, I'm actually the senior manager for Micron. So before we actually get into the session, I thought that maybe let me do a very quick introduction about ATMA, just in case any one of y'all do not know who ATMA is, which I don't think so. I think by now y'all will probably would have known, who we are as ATMA. So just give me a minute. I need to just flip the screen a little. Okay, so bear with me for a while. All right. Okay, so for ATMA, I'm just going to go through very quickly because I know that all of you are so excited to hear from Nidia and June. So for ATMA, we are actually the first global mobility trade organization that is focusing solely on Asia. We are a non-profit organization that really supports the talent mobility and the relocation community here in Asia. So in a way, Asia for Asia. Okay. So under ATMA, we actually have four pillars, and this Mentoring Asia program, which we call as MET for short, actually sits under the education pillar, focusing on the development of the talent mobility profession over here. Okay. So I'm sure, every one of y'all has actually heard about the benefits of mentoring in, your respective career growth. And also, why do we really want to bring mentoring to the mobility space? Because in fact, I would say that we really strongly believe that the mentoring could really help our professional talent or our potential future leaders to really find their purpose, to unleash their potential, and also to help them to develop and also grow in terms of their knowledge in global mobility. And at the same time, what we also hope to do is that through this mentoring session itself, we will also be able to build a community of professional that's outside of your company that can really help you to widen and to deepen your professional knowledge as well as your network. And last but not least, which I think is also important, is that we will be able to influence this entire ecosystem to create a much longer lasting network where we can really all come together to generate ideas and to solve things that we encounter time after time. So without further ado, I'm going to now bring my panelists up here. So let me stop sharing my screen. Hey. Hello. Hi, Nidia. Hi, June.
Yeah. Hi,
Hi.
Shamin. Hi, Jun.
Great. Yeah, it's really so nice for us, to be here together. And we have our potential mentees over in this call. And in the next half an hour, we are going to talk about more about the benefits of mentoring. Because I still remember when we were kind of chatting over our very nice tea,
Mhm.
we kind of talk about, sometimes the mentees may have some questions. So before we get started, as I share the first questions, maybe as your before you actually share your perspective, could you actually introduce yourself first? Okay, yeah. So
So,
um, yeah, and
so I'm sorry. So go ahead. I'm Nidia Knight, and I'm based in Singapore. I am the head of global mobility or international HR at International SOS, which a medical and security company. We look after about 1,000 to 1,200 assignees. We have a very different kind of, I think, mobility type of assignees than your not your long terms and so on. We have a lot of rotational medical professionals. And I have quite, a large team because of the way that, we organize ourselves in-house as well. So I have been, in terms of global mobility, I've been in this space for, I think 20 years. And I have been an expat myself for
Mm.
30 years. And while I've been an expat, I've moved countries 9 times with 3 kids and 2 cats, and sometimes dog as well. And yeah, so it's great to to be here with you and to take part in this mentorship program, which is something that is very close to to my heart and what I apply a lot at work as well with my own teams and for myself.
Yeah, very nice, Lydia. Over to
Thank
you, June.
Thank you, Shumin. And I'm June Mahadevan. I'm based in Singapore also, and I'm the regional lead for mobility at Publicis Group. Now, we're a company that has quite a lot of different differences, businesses in our company, and majorly we focus on media and telecommunications, but we also have quite a big arm that focuses on digital transformation. And so we have a widely distributed team and quite a large program. One of our flagship programs is actually our short-term remote work program called Work Your World, which keeps us really, really busy. And like Nidia, I've been in the industry for quite a while, over 20 years. And I've had a bit of an unusual trajectory in mobility because I spent most of that in consulting. So a good 20 years in consulting before I moved in-house. And I've had quite a non-traditional path and dabbled in many different areas in that time. So it's been has never been a dull moment, I have to say.
Yes, yeah. Thanks, June, and really very nice to have both Nidia and June in this webinar today. So other than both of them being our panelists, they are going to be our mentors as well for our first Mentoring Asia program. So maybe I'll start off with Nidia yourself, because in your introduction, you also have mentioned about how you really enjoy coaching your teams, and you have also been mentors for many different mentees in your work of life. So why do you really care about this issue, and why do you believe that mentoring can be a powerful way for both them, even not just the mentee, right, but also the mentor to grow and be successful and be fulfilled?
Yeah, so Shamin, for me, I think there is a lot to learn both from the mentor, of course, from the mentee perspective, and having been, I think, one myself, through my career, maybe in more in informal ways.
Mm,
And to me, then to be now a mentor to others, and I do at work, part of a project that we do mentoring for females
mm,
programs where I take on 2 mentees per year, and is about to share, our experiences, right? To have someone who can, you can exchange ideas with, someone who can be honest with you
mm,
on, when you're sharing a maybe a development area you have or concern, or to be able to share and give you from the experience, not just work experience, but life
mm,
experience as well. But from a mentor point of view, right? I think we a lot of times I think people think, oh, but a mentor, what is really in it for you?
mm,
And there is a lot in it, which is really to sometimes um, using skills that you have not used for many years, or have problems being shared with you, things that you have experienced many years ago, and probably now you can look back and think, oh, maybe I should have done it in a different way. So it's a bit of a discovery as well, and a learning growth for you. And it's part of leadership skills, right? So as we
mm.
become leaders and we developing our own skills, mentoring and
Yep.
coaching is one of those skills that I think are key for leaders, and especially new leaders that are coming up now, where the empathetic leadership subject is coming up. So definitely mentoring is one of those. And I truly enjoy working and passing it on my experience as well
Mm.
to others. Yeah, so I do love taking part of this.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Nidia. It's really about how now you are able to pass on your experience. And from your sharing, I can also kind of take away that even as a mentor, you do actually learn a lot from your mentees as well. So
Correct.
it's really not so much like a one way, it can be a both way kind of learning.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's not just about sometimes the mentor saying, "Oh, you should do this or you should do that." It's not about that. It's
Mm,
about exchanging ideas, right? Having you as a sounding
yeah.
board, being able to sometimes we as mentors realizing, oh, maybe okay, maybe
Mm,
actually that way would work better. It's not like we have all the solutions, but we have the experience.
mm. Yes, very nice. And how about you, June? So why do you believe that mentoring is a very powerful way for both the mentors and mentees to be successful?
For me, I think mentoring is about what you mentioned earlier, Shumin. It's about having a sense of community in this part of the
Mm,
world. In APAC,
yeah.
we don't tend to have a lot of events and a lot of opportunities for people to meet and really be able to share experiences or connect with people in the same job or even across other service lines or mobility areas. And we do have certain things in APAC that is very unique to this region. So I think this mentor program to me is another opportunity for us to have a community of people who have come forward, they have offered time and have given their availability to really be able to um, contribute and be tapped on the shoulder for knowledge, for
Mm,
experience, and to really give kind of an Asia Pac flavor to what we're doing here in mobility. It is very different to other markets, so I think it's really an opportunity for us to make the most of what we have in APAC.
yes, yeah, certainly, June. And I think this again help me recall the conversation that we have. In terms of your career, I know you have a very exciting career where you have the opportunity to move to different areas. And again, at that point in time, like you mentioned, there really isn't much of events or opportunity within APAC. So will you be able to kind of share your experience as a mentee? Like, how do you kind of go out and seek out for leaders, seek out for people who actually guide you along your career journey?
Yeah. So I think for my experience, it's certainly been hasn't been a straight line, wasn't a very easy trajectory. Lots of curls, lots of twists and turns along the way. But one thing that I have been that I've had the benefit of is to have people within our organization and within my friends network, people who have been an informal mentor to me. And it's been
Mm,
really helpful for me because I was in an area where it wasn't the traditional tax consulting that most
mm,
people would be familiar with. I was very interested in technology. I was very interested in innovation and process improvement. And
yeah.
that is something that you don't have a very ready manual to read from. You have to make your own way.
Mm,
So it was really helpful for me to have people that I could keep validating my um, interest and asking for ideas on how can I develop further in this area when
mm,
it's not the traditional pathway. It's not a standard way of going step by step, yeah, within an organization. It's a bit of a curly road, as I said. So it was so valuable to me to have people to talk to who were saying, okay, that is unusual, but here's what you should do to, or you can
mm,
try, or in order to hedge your bets a little bit, or to like grow a little further. How do you make that business case for you to move forward? And that was all language that I didn't have as a junior,
yeah.
but talking to those mentors actually gave me the right vocabulary, the right tools to think about how my career is progressing.
Yeah, wow, June, that is certainly very encouraging because I still remember that some of the things that I hear is that the mentees may have, or even like myself, when I want to go and ask a leader to be my mentor, I
Yeah.
will be wondering that will he or she be willing to spend the time with me. So it's really very encouraging to kind of hear how you have actually seek out, and in fact people that you seek out, leaders that you seek out, they are all willing to actually guide and help you.
Yeah,
Great, good.
it is.
And yeah, and that's where it makes me kind of connect to another story, which I know that even Nidia yourself, you also don't you did not went through a very structured kind of mentoring program, but you did also reach out to a very high level senior leader to be your mentor. So just wanted to maybe
Yeah,
have you to kind of share that story.
yeah. So we just recently we had one of our most senior leads, so the C in part of the C-suite, right? That
Mm,
has just retired, and he's been with the organization for I think 30 years. Uh, so for me, getting because of the level and the position that I have, it is very difficult. As you know, as you go up in organization, it's very difficult to find people that you feel comfortable
mm,
talking to or reaching out for support or exchange ideas. I mean, for myself, sometimes I might think, well, I want to, I have this issue, or how do I reach out to that person? Or, um, and you feel like once you get to a certain career level that you're being judged for anything that you say or you asked. So it's kind of difficult to then find that mentor within the organization. So when I heard that this person was retiring, and I saw him in the office one day,
mm,
just coming to pick up his stuff, and so I actually reached out to him and sat him down and said, given your experience and your career path, and I would really like to ask you to be my mentor. And which I know you are supportive of me as well, because you do need to find someone who's obviously keen and supportive of you. And he
mm,
was very glad to. He really was enthusiastic, right? So the way I said
yeah.
is really that, given his experience and the many years, and plus the network that he has within the organization still, right?
Mm,
I thought would be a great person to really help me. I think sometimes mapping people, mapping, what my goals are, and someone that is now outside the organization, right? So I feel like
mm,
there's no, other intent for him but to actually support me. So we meet about once every 2 months. And we met, and we of course decided and agreed on how we're going to do this, right? And
mm,
then, as we'll talk later, but as mentor and mentee relationship, there are roles and responsibilities that we have to abide by. And yeah, so it's great. So now we meet every 2 months, but I make sure that I do my homework,
mm,
and that I share with him what I want to discuss, or what is it that's concerning me. And of course, if sometimes there is if I come up with something at work that I need to talk to someone, and I need a sounding board, then I reach out to him on the side anyway.
mm,
It's of that hour that we have just on the side to say, I have this, what you recommend. But it's
yeah.
great to have him there now.
Yeah. So interesting that Nadia, you actually brought up the part on how you and mentor actually have like a agreement in terms of the frequency to meet and basically kind of taking responsibility, as a mentee, right? Because I think I've heard this kind of like time over time where, people may say, oh, I'm so busy with my work. I have no time to commit for a mentoring. And again, they also want to make sure that if they commit, they want to be responsible. They want to be able to spend time with their mentor. So, on this question, how, what kind of practical tips will you be able to share with the mentees, right, to make sure that outside of their super busy schedule, because we are all so busy, right? Same thing for the mentors. So, what kind of practical tips do you have for the mentees to make sure that they are able to establish and maintain a very successful and meaningful mentoring relationship with their mentors? So maybe Nidia, I start off with you first.
So I think in that respect, right, it's we all busy. Everybody's busy,
Mm,
I mean, we have kids, we have life outside work, right? Um, but at the same time, I'm a very big fan of that. I want my own development. It is my responsibility
mm,
to learn and to grow. It's not, I was never. It's never for me. It's never been. Oh, the company has not promoted you, or my
mm,
boss doesn't recognize me. It's like, what do I need to do to grow and develop? And I think this is where then taking the time, me taking the time to do learning on the side, to have the mentoring, right? It's an
mm.
investment in my own
Yeah.
career and my own personal growth. So this is crucial, right? If
Mm,
we want to be great at something, if you want, it doesn't mean just work, but also personal life. If you have your friends, right, and you want to keep with those friends, you have to invest time in the relationship, right? Even
mm,
if you're really busy, sometimes you have to stop and think, oh, I've not reached out to that person, I've not met with that friend, and make the time. It's the same for your own growth and development, right?
mm,
If you don't make the time for it, it won't happen. And if it won't happen, more potentially you're going to be in your role for longer than you wanted to. So you need to own it and find time to make it happen. So
mm,
one example for me and is that in the morning I take the bus to work. I try not to use the Grab unless I'm like really late, which does happen. But I try to take the bus to work, which takes about 40 minutes. And why I love taking the bus to work is because I listen to a podcast every morning. So I have my list of podcasts that usually are about things that I'm passionate about. Could be, coaching, could be actually financials, HR matters.
mm,
So I have my library, and every morning I listen to a podcast on the way to work. And so this is my way of making time, because if I get to work and then go home in the end of the day, I'm not going to listen to one for sure. So this is my time to listen and make sure I use it.
mm. Very nice. Yeah. I think it's so insightful for us to even learn that even at such a senior level, you yourself will really take charge of your own development. And for a mentoring itself, what I noted down is how we need to take charge, because it's really about us in terms of what we want to learn and grow.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about you, June? Any practical tips you will be able to share with the mentees on how to kind of balance the part, right? Like, being busy to how, can we have them to really commit to have that successful mentoring relationship with their
Yeah.
mentors?
I think to me, a lot of this is about going after what you want. And I
Mm,
heard an analogy recently, which I thought was really helpful. Someone said that, when you want a new piece of clothing or if you want to buy something for your house, you normally go and get it first. And then you come back and you figure out how it's going to fit in your wardrobe or how it's going to fit in
yeah,
your house. Now we
so
really
true.
should try and make the space before we actually go out and buy something. But how many of us actually do that? So development and like getting the guidance that you need to go after what you want. I think that's one of the things that you have to make space for. So this is one of the areas I think that you really have to like go out and do it, and then figure out how you're going to fit it in with your existing stuff, because it's important. It's about what you want. And the second thing for me, I think it's about courage as well.
Mm,
Sometimes when if you don't ask the question, it's because you're not sure what the answer is going to be. So this mentor relationship is a safe space for you to ask the question that you might be too afraid to ask. Sometimes you have doubts. Am I ready? Am I doing the right kind of work? Is this what I actually want? What if I get what I want? Is it going to be fulfilling? And this is a safe space, a safe relationship for you to have a conversation with a mentor, especially someone outside the organization, if you don't have that opportunity, right? So it's might give you the courage to actually kind of put some feelers, ask the questions that you might actually be too afraid to ask in
mm,
your organization or directly with your superiors right now. So it is an investment in yourself, and I think that's like really important. It's very easy to lose yourself when you're so focused on everything else. So this
Yeah.
is an investment. I think it pays off. The dividend definitely pays off, but you have to make the time for it.
Yeah, exactly, June. And I love your analogy, right, about the clothes. So next time anybody tell me they're busy, I will use that analogy and say that, if you
A
can
good
buy a
one.
piece of clothes, right, it's exactly the same, right? Where you need to be committed,
Yeah.
and to really find that space, to do it. And I think you mentioned a very interesting note, about for the mentoring itself, especially this program that we are planning, because the mentor and the mentees are actually from different company. So kind of skipping the question a little, because they are from different companies. Again, we were talking about confidentiality. The programs that I'm working on here, should I bring it up and discuss with my mentor, how confidential are all this? Because we know each company may have difference of the IP and confidentiality, things that they need to protect. So with the mentors and mentees from different companies, how would you advise them to make sure that they still have a very, a great mentoring relationship and experience, but at the same time, they are able to maintain that confidentiality part without disclosing too much information?
So I think, if I can come in, it's in a in a mentee relationship, there needs to be rules, right? And one of
Mm,
the rules is confidentiality, and we need to trust each other and get to know each other and trust and have those rules around it. So usually when I first meet with my mentee, the first session will be about, okay, what is it that you're looking for? What do you want to take from it? What is my expectation as a
mm,
mentor? What's your expectation as a mentee, and how we're going to make it work? So then we say, things about confidentiality. Whatever we speak stays here, and what's important is also to do that homework, right? To make sure
mm,
that the mentee and the mentor understand that there is homework to be done. And of course, when something is then agreed, that or when you've come up with a plan, that it's followed, right? But in terms of even when we talk about mentorship, it tends to be a lot about, in my experience, it's more about the behaviors, or how do we, or career development. So it's not so
mm,
much about how it's working in a company itself or the processes,
mm,
but more about, behavioral skills, or that you need to develop. So it doesn't usually come um, so much as a problem, I would say.
mm. Yeah. June, anything you wish
Yeah.
to add on?
No, I think the confidentiality aspect of it, as you
Mm,
said, it's a given. I mean, we are all
yeah.
mobility professionals.
Mm,
It's part of our DNA. We deal with some of the most sensitive information that you come across, right? So I think it is a given, and the organization as well, ATMA, has been quite deliberate in the selection of who should be a mentor, because it is
mm,
in recognition of the fact that these are people you can trust, and not people who don't understand how the industry works or how the world works. So I think that's an assurance that people should have entering into that mentoring relationship. But also, in terms of what you share, I agree with Nidia. It's a lot about the behaviors. I think
mm,
if it gets to a point where you're talking in such detail and you're talking about programs and plans and confidential stuff, you probably have missed the mark. You're talking about work.
mm,
And this should be a
yeah.
discussion about your career and your aspirations, and your what you want to get out of your time at work, right? So I think um, there are definitely ways to have these discussions. As anyone who's worked in an open plan office would know, there are ways to talk about things without really referring to the specifics, right? We're all pretty skilled at that. So I think, the mentors would be mature enough to be able to manage the conversation without pressing you for details. But at the same time, if you are going into that much detail, you probably something's gone a bit sideways there, because this
Mm,
really should be a conversation about your career, your aspirations, and what works for you, rather than a conversation about confidential company IP related matters.
mm. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, Nidia and June. I think very nice is really about having that alignment meeting to
Yeah.
basically set that entire expectation. And I think, to the mentees that's out there listening to this webinar, it's really not just about building the skill set, because as we continue to grow in our career, it's also that behavior, that leadership competency that we actually want to learn basically from our mentors as well. Yeah. So, there shouldn't be too much of a concern when it comes to confidentiality. Like, June mentioned, if certain things is confidential, we kind of know how to kind of structure it in a manner, because we know what can be said and what cannot be said in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So I know that both of you are very experienced mentor, and honestly, I think it's such a privilege, for ATMA to be able to invite both of you to be our mentor for our first Mentoring Asia program. So I know we kind of speak a little about this at the start, but again, as mentors, um, you know, I just wanted maybe for you all to share. Do you think that you learn as much as the mentee? And maybe just to share your experience a little as your as a mentor.
I think
Um,
this is really, sorry.
Go on, June, go on.
I think it's a two-way street. It is about both parties coming together and wanting to take part and learn from each other through this relationship, right? I think um, from the mentor side, there is this,
Mm,
or at least when I'm speaking for myself, I do have experience to share and a willingness to share the failures, and not just about, this is what you should do and this is what I did right,
mm,
but a lot about what I did wrong and what, perhaps you can try and avoid. So it is a two-way street. I always feel that, until you try to explain something to someone else, you don't know whether you've really understood the matter. And so I think through this relationship, mentoring relationship, it's going to be as much about myself and what I have learned and I
mm,
um, have to still do to be a better leader, to be a better mentor, than it is on the other way as well. It's definitely a two-way street.
mm. Great. Yeah,
Sorry,
very
Nidia, to
nice.
cut you off
Yeah.
there.
No, I mean we are meeting with very different. We all very different, right? And we come from
Mm,
different backgrounds, different work experiences. And even though I might be the mentor, I'm sure that it always comes to the situation where I want to know more, or how do you make that work, or
mm,
how did that happen? And I am learning a lot also from the other person, and also understanding what other people go through, and sometimes the career path that they take,
mm.
and how then that aligns with how it went for me about it. But for me, it's definitely a great and a growing experience both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Good. Yeah. So again, adding on that, this is really kind of like a two-way street. It's not just about mentee learning from mentors, and at times, as you are a mentor, you'll learn something different from the mentees as well. Yeah.
Correct.
So I know we are kind of like, getting at the top of our time, just looking at the chat. I don't see any questions. So for, participants who are in the webinar, if you have any questions for Nidia and June, feel free to actually type it into the chat. We'll be sure to, look at them and get that answer in case you have any doubts about signing up or being a mentee for the ATMA Mentoring Asia program. So before we kind of wrap up, I just have one question which I've posted to the both of y'all. So, what is the one thing that you hope that it comes out from this mentoring program? So maybe we'll start off with June first.
Yeah, I think at a high level, at a macro level, what I'm hoping is that we have this sense of community in APAC, and we have this opportunity to connect with other mobility professionals.
Mm,
Having come into an in-house role fairly recently, that's something that I really felt the need for, and it's having someone to speak to, having a mentor to talk to. Doesn't even need to be one person, right? Is
mm,
It has made all the difference. It's given me a bit more confidence. It's given me a bit more of a platform and a sense of support. So you don't feel like you're all alone here. So that's what I would say. That's my biggest hope for what comes out of this program.
yeah, great. Thanks, June. Nidia, how about yourself?
For me, it will be, I think that the person that will be mentoring, that person achieves the goal that they came, they thought they came in with, that they enjoy the experience, and that they achieve the outcome, but also that they feel inspired to actually they themselves give back one day, right, and to enjoy the relationship, so that they feel it's something they would like to do in the future.
Paying it forward.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Exactly, June, paying it forward, having, not just about building that sense of community, but as the community gets stronger, right? That's where, all of us, including me, myself, how we continue to pay forward to groom that next generation of talent.
Yep.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, just looking at the chat, no questions for our mentors. Okay. So anyway, it has been really nice, June and Nidia, kind of speaking with y'all. I always learn something very different, be it from our earlier chat where we had that little tea session at Jewel Airport, and even here today. Again, as we all know, mentoring is never a one-way street, it's a two-way. And really the purpose of having this mentoring session is that, to have someone that is with you, not like your boss, but to have someone where you can actually speak with as a sounding board. And most importantly,
Yeah.
is to build this community in the APEC itself. So I'm going to reshare my screen again. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, no, I thought there's a question coming in. Okay, I'm going to reshare my screen because I know that people in the call today will want to know how do I then sign up for this mentoring session, right? So all you need to do is to visit the Asia Talent Mobility website, and there's actually this portion under the education. That's where you can actually find out more information about our mentorship program. And this program is really exclusively for our ATMA member, and is a complimentary mentoring it's a complimentary program for our ATMA member. So what you need to do is to first sign up as an ATMA member, and then that's where you can get access to the Mentoring Asia program. Okay.
We have a
So
question.
yes, yeah.
Someone has their hand up.
Okay. Let me see. Will we be able to ask the question live?
Oh, the hand's gone.
No. Okay. All
Oh,
right.
wait, back up. Gone again.
Gone.
We have a hide and seek.
Yeah, a little hide and seek with this mentee. Yeah, but anyway, I think we are all available in LinkedIn. If you all do not want to ask the question live over here, do feel free to reach out to myself, to Nina, to June. We are certainly all excited and willing, to actually support you in your mentoring journey. So I think with that, I'm going to wrap up this session. And again, thanks very much, June and Nidia.
Great.
Thank you, Shumin.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.